In this video, we're going to look at 10 document-related prompts and how to engineer them, and 6 fun game-like prompts. The document-related prompts are to do a simple summary, in different languages, summary of each section in a document, summary of each section and returned as a JSON object, summary of each section in a given language, extracting dates and events, generating questions about a document, identifying action items, sentiment analysis. The fun prompts are acronym expander prompt, anagram solver prompt, random sentence generator prompt, rhyme generator prompt, synonym antonym finder prompt, and word ladder prompt. We're going to be looking at the code and the prompts itself and how to generate them, how to engineer them. But let's start with a quick demo. I have copied large language model Wikipedia article here into a sample.txt file. In our first demo, we will be extracting keywords from it. Let's see. We are using GPT-3.5-turbo, but you can use GPT-4 as well. As you see, we have extracted large language model, neural network, deep learning, self-supervised learning, a bunch of keywords out of this document. Next, we're going to do a simple summary of this document. Here we get our simple summary. A large language model is a neural network, and it goes on. Next, let's try the summary of each section. Here we got the summary of the introduction, properties, architecture and training, applications, fine-tuning, prompting, instruction tuning. Next, let's take a look at summary of each section in any given language. We are being asked what language. I'm going to select French. As we see, we get each section of the document summarized to us in French language. We can also get a summary of each section as a JSON object. Let's see how this works. Here, we get a reusable JSON object, which we can use in our Python programs, or any programming language for that matter. The introduction, properties, architecture, and training, so on and so forth. We can generate questions about a given document. Here are some questions which seem relevant to the document at hand. We can extract important dates and events. Here we get a list of dates, events, and important topics which are present in the document. Let's take a look at a fun prompt, word ladder prompt. When we run this, we are asked for 2 words. First one word is going to be fun. Next one is 1. We need to make sure they are the same length, same number of letters. And then this, by changing 1 letter at a time, we are trying to convert fun into 1. As you see here, we change the F to S, then U to O, and then one more, I guess we try to do it. Anyway, this is how it works. Let's take a look at random sentence generator. We are asked to enter some list of words. I'm going to enter road, sky, kitchen, and it's going to generate one sentence or multiple sentences using these words. The road was completely deserted under the clear sky as I made my way to the empty kitchen. Let's take a look at rhyme generator. Let's say kitchen again. And this is going to generate a list of words which rhyme with kitchen. Diction, fiction, friction. Yeah, so here are some words that rhyme. We also have anagram solver, synonym antonym finder, acronym expander. Yeah, and there's a total of 6 fun prompts here. We're going to talk about them in detail. I just want to mention quickly that I will be making the prompts basic.py file available to my AI aficionado level members, which includes simple summary in a given language, summary of each section in JSON, summary of each section in given language. All the rest of the prompts, including everything, including the ones in the basic prompt, such as extract keywords, generate questions, identify action items, extract dates and events, sentiment analysis, and all the fun prompts will be available for AI connoisseur level Patreon supporters. The links will be in the description. I have defined each prompt as a method under a class. I have created 2 classes for prompts, prompt document prompts, and also the fun prompts class. And under each class, I have defined each prompt as a method with a docstring which explains what it does. And I am creating the message for GPT-3.5 or GPT-4 within the methods so that I can actually import them from the file, from prompts. For example, from the prompts file, I'm importing both the document prompts and fun prompts so that I can actually initiate and use them here as I please, as I need them for my particular use case. We are not defining any global parameters for this class. It would be local, but I'm saying if we need to define any variables, we are defining them in the method itself. And for example, for the simple summary, we are just returning the message which we are assigning to the messages to be sent to in the OpenAI chat completions call like this. Because as you might know, the chat completions actually takes in a list of messages as the system user and the assistant. So we are just generalizing over this fact. For example, with the simple summary, we're just creating a system message which says summarize the content provided in user message. Then in the main.py file, we are importing those classes and with all of its methods. Then we are initiating an instantiation of the prompts underscore documents as prompts. And then right here, we are actually generating our prompt as prompts.simple summary, because this simply returns this list of messages. And from there on, we say the messages will equal to the prompt. And we are reading the sample.txt as our data right here. And then we are saying that our user input will be the data, which is read from sample.txt. And then we are appending to the prompt, which we received from the template, our data right here as the user input, as the user message. And then now we have our messages and we can get a response from OpenAI chat completions using those. If we look at simple summary and given language method, we generate a loop and then we ask for user to enter a language, and then we check that the language is alpha from alphanumeric, meaning it's consisting of letters. And if that, then we are returning a system message which has summarized the content provided in user message in the language which is specified by the user input. Otherwise, if it doesn't fit this criteria, then please enter a valid language. So if somebody enters numbers or something, it won't work. This works exactly the same. We are importing from prompts are the class prompt documents. We initiate the instantiation of that class. And then we get a response. When this line runs, actually, we are going to get a user input. Then we say that message is going to equal to that. Then we're going to open our file and get the data. And our user input, our user message is going to be entirely made up of this data. We're not going to add anything else. Then we are appending to the message that user input, which is the data. And then again, we are getting a response with the entirety of those messages we have created. If we run this, as you see, please enter a language. We can say German. And then when we click enter, now the German language has been dynamically entered into this prompt and then added into the messages along with the data. And this way we are going to be able to get a GPT response as in German. And as you see, we have gotten our summary in German. If you take a look at the summary of each section prompt, the method here, the prompt is, again, as in the convention specified in the OpenAI documentation, is a list of an object. The system messages summarize the content provided in user message, summarize each section of the text in separate paragraph with the title in the beginning of each summary paragraph. And then I've given it a one-shot example. Example response is section 1 summary, and then the summary, section 2 summary, so on and so forth. And just to reiterate the point, again, we are importing the prompt documents, right? This is our class. We are importing this class right here from the prompt file, which is the prompts.py file. So from prompts.py file, import prompts underscore documents. We are also importing prompts underscore fun, because there is another class, which is right here. We have two classes in this file, which are called objects. So we can actually import them and use them. In theory, you can have as many methods and as many prompts defined in a single file or multiple files, and you can import and use them, whether manually or dynamically. Anyway, we are importing that. And then we are instantiating that class. We are saying prompts is going to equal to prompts underscore documents class. And then we are saying we want to get the prompt, and we are using the prompts, which is an instantiation of that class. And then we say summary of each section. So when we run this prompt, which we talked about, will take effect, which will be our prompt, and our messages will be that prompt. And then we read the data from sample.txt. It could be from any file, really. You can be creative with this. And then we say our user input is going to equal to that data. And then we are creating a user message. We're saying the user input, which is the data, is going to be our user message. And we are appending it to the original system message. And then we're getting a response. To make this clearer, let's look at another method, which is summary of each section in JSON. This is a system message as well. As you see, these methods, most of those methods only return. Okay, so we're just trying to define this in a structured way, in this way, as methods under a class, so we can dynamically change and play with them. And we are not cluttering our main.py file with a bunch of prompts, which we want to play with, maybe possibly experiment with. So with the summary of each section in JSON, to summarize the content provided in user messages JSON object, summarize each section of the text in a separate JSON key, with the title is the key and summary is the value. And then we give an example of response, such as we did right here. But this time we are actually giving it a sample JSON object, section 1 title, section 1 summary, section 2 title, section 2 summary, and so on and so forth. If we take a look at the summary of each section in a given language, we are instantiating a loop here. We are starting a loop because we're going to get the user's input. The reason why we're starting a loop, we can get the user input without the while loop, but if we want to check for conditions, and if the conditions are not met, just to give a warning to the user and then get them to retry, then we are running a while true loop and then asking user to input a language, and then we're going to assign that to a language variable. If the language meets our criteria, which is made up of characters, this is what is alpha does, then we can actually put it in our prompt dynamically like this. Summarize the content provided in user message. We're going to define the user message in our main.py file, right? Our user message is going to be the data, which is going to be the content, which is going to come from the sample.txt file. So summarize the content providing user message in the language specified right here. Summarize each section, and then we are given an example response, just like we have given earlier with the summary of each section. But since the example is in English, I have written it in English, I'm actually specifying that this is in English only as an example. You need to return the response in the language specified, just like this. So this will be dynamically updated. And then when we import our class and instantiate the class, we can just run this method, summary of each section in given language. When this line runs, we are actually going to ask user for a language. And then once this is done, we are creating our messages and are adding our user input as the data and getting a response from OpenAI. Now let's take a look at the fun prompts, because fun prompts work, the way I designed them work differently than the document prompts, because with each one of the fun prompts, we not only specify the system prompt, but we are specifying the user prompt as well. If you were to look at the word ladder prompt, and you can read this doc string to get its description, we are running a loop and asking for one word, first word, please enter a word, and then we are asking a second word, which is please enter another word with the same number of characters. And this will try to morph one word into the next by changing one letter at a time. We are checking if both words exist and that they are both alpha characters, alphabetical characters. And we also have to make sure that they are of the same length. If those conditions are met, then we are crafting our prompt. We are engineering it right here, saying that generate a sequence of intermediate words where each word differs by one letter, eventually connecting the two given words. And then we are creating a user message with the content of word 1 is whatever the input was here, and word 2 is whatever the user had entered right here. And if these inputs that the user entered fails to match these criteria, then we print an error message and then ask the user to do this again. To get the fun prompts working, we are again from the prompts.py file importing prompts_fun, and we have to initialize the prompts_fun right here instead of prompts_documents. That's why I commented this line and uncommented this one. After that, we can use one of its methods. Let's use synonym antonym finder prompt. And once the synonym antonym finder is going to ask for user input, generate this response, return it, prompt, and we are creating the messages again. In this case, we don't need this because we're not using any external data and we are not getting user input. So we are actually defining the user message in the method itself. Okay, so this is sufficient right here because as you remember, we are returning both the system message and the user message. So we are just after that getting a response from the chat completions. If we run this, it's going to ask for a word. If we were to say happy, now we're going to get both the synonyms and antonyms to word happy. Here are some synonyms for happy and antonyms of happy. Okay, let's look at one more example. Let's take a look at, for example, the anagram solver. Anagram solver is which takes a set of letters and generates a list of possible words that can be formatted using those letters. Again, we are running a loop because we are going to, the reason why, I just want to explain this one more time, we are running the loop is because we're going to check the letters as condition. Actually, in this case, we have forgotten the error message here anyway. So we are checking, we are getting user input, we are getting letters, we are checking to make sure that those are in fact letters. If that is so, then we are returning this prompt, the system and the user prompt as messages. We're going to assign it in the main.py file. Otherwise, we print an error message, so the while through will again initiate this input. Let's try this real quick. Again, in our main.py file, we are starting the anagram solver prompt method and assigning what it returns to messages, and we are not assigning additional user input or anything because we're not dealing with a document here in this case. We're just dealing with user inputs. If we run this, it's going to ask for enter a set of letters. For example, let's say A, E, R, T, B, U, and then Y. Oh, okay, we have to do it like this. See? So we actually, this was good. So it's not comma separated value. So you see, after the error message, while loop asked us again to enter a correct format. And after this, we're going to get a response of a bunch of different words that can be created using these letters. Here we go. We got a list of 20 words which can be created using the letters within this character set which we have given. Let's go over the main.py file. We are importing OpenAI. We do need to pip install OpenAI, and Colorama is how we print the methods in the terminal. We're just going to talk about this. The requirements are OpenAI and Colorama. Colorama is only if you want to print colored text on the terminal. We are importing from the prompts file, prompts_documents and prompts_fun classes. We are importing JSON because I was just testing to make sure that JSON object which was returned as a response was correct. We are importing Colorama, and we are from Colorama. We are importing for and style. We do need to pip install OpenAI and Colorama. You have to define your API key in user environment variables as this, or define it here in the code, such as like that. We are initializing Colorama, and then we are initializing an instantiation of the class which we are importing, which we want to use. And then we are getting the methods by using an inline function like this. Method for method in prompt, get attribute, and this is to get all the methods from a class. Okay. We actually don't need this. And then we are looping over the methods which we have gotten here, and then we are printing it right here. Okay. We are getting the doc string as well, and we are printing the method itself, and we are printing its doc string. That's why having doc string is useful, and that's why when we run this each time we run this program, we are actually printing the methods in alphabetical order. I'm not sure in what order, but we are also printing this doc string so we can actually see what methods are available to us. Oh, and it is in alphabetical order. Then we are using the method to get our prompt, assign it to messages, and this part you need to uncomment if you're reading from sample.txt file. Then we are getting the user input if you are using documents, right? In this case, we are not. So I'm just going to leave that commented. If we were getting the user input, we also have to append it, such as this. And then the next line is to get a response from OpenAI. And this was to check if the JSON object that is returned is a legitimate JSON object. And we are actually using OpenAI's moderation endpoint. It's very easy. whatever the response that is returned to us in this line, we are resending it to the operation endpoint, and we get a mod, and then we check its flagged attribute. This is output. If output is true, that means that it hasn't passed OpenAI's moderation. Then we print try again. If we have passed OpenAI's moderation with whatever the response which was returned from the chat completion, then we actually go ahead and use that response. I would like to recommend moderation in all your programs. It's very quick, and it probably would save you a lot of headaches in the long run. Let's take a look at the basic .py file. This only includes the class for prompts_documents. The link will be in the description from where you can download from Patreon this code. This includes the simple summary in given language, summary of each section in JSON, summary of each section in given language. However, the prompts.py file includes all of that, methods, also includes extract keywords, generate questions, identify action items, extract dates and events, sentiment analysis. And the font prompts include word ladder prompts, random sentence generator, acronym expander, rhyme generator, synonym antonym finder, and anagram solver prompt. I hope you find this useful. Take a look at my channel. I have 123 videos so far, which I talk about all sorts of stuff. You can actually take a look at the playlists to get an idea. Build AI-powered apps, GPT-4 autocoder, AI updates and cool links, OpenAI LangChain. So I have quite a few playlists: OpenAI Playground, Learn LangChain, Streamlit, JavaScript, all sorts of stuff. Please take a look. Also, feel free to join our Discord channel. We have almost 500 members. We like to talk about large language models. Link will be in the description. And like I said before, the basic code file will be available for AI aficionado, and all code files, with all methods, will be available for connoisseur level Patreon supporters. Links will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I really enjoyed doing prompt engineering video, this one, and I'll be making more in the future. Hope to learn more and share more. Thank you. Take care.